everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about Darkman and its Scream Factory 4K Blu-ray. So Darkman was originally released in the summer of 1990. It cost $14 million to make. It ended up making $48 million at the box office. It is directed by Sam Raimi, who also co-wrote this film. And before Sam Raimi did Spider-Man, he did Darkman. He was a big superhero fan. He actually even tried to secure the rights to Batman, and when that didn't work out, he decided to make his own superhero. He wrote a 30 to 40 page treatment about Darkman, and Universal Pictures picked it up. He brought in a bunch of other co-writers to help finish off the script, and then this is what led us to this film right here. And he based the hero of Darkman on a bunch of different types of characters, but mainly on the Universal monsters. You can even see that in his main look. He kind of looks a little bit like the Invisible Man when he's got the hat and the face tape on. He kind of does look like the Invisible Man, but when he becomes Darkman, because early in this movie, Liam Neeson's character plays Dr. Peyton Wislick, a scientist who is trying to figure out a way to make artificial skin work for burn victims, to help cover up their wounds, return their face to normality. But he cannot crack the code. Every time he tries to do an experiment, it never gets past 99 minutes until it eventually just disintegrates into a pile of goo. But one day, the lights go out, and it ends up going over 99 minutes, and then he realizes that skin is photosensitive, much like my own skin, which the sun just absolutely hates. I won't disintegrate, but I will be badly burned.
No, not dead. Burnt. Badly.
He's cracked the code, but at that exact moment, a bunch of mobsters come bursting through the door. They take him, burn his hands, dunk his head in a thing of acid, and while this is all going off and everything, it's got these sparks flying everywhere. It's much like Dr. Frankenstein creating the monster, only the monster in this film is Darkman, and that is our hero, and he really is an anti-hero from this point on. He was dating Frances McDermott, who is an attorney, and she uncovered some documents. This document really will impact a lot of the city, and obviously it's going to piss off a lot of the crime bosses in the city. And they unfortunately took it out on her boyfriend Liam Neeson, and this is what led to him becoming Darkman. Everyone thinks he's dead, including Frances McDermott. Luckily for him, a bunch of people discovered him. They ended up kind of repairing him the best they could. Right now he has no more feeling in his body. He could take as much pain as possible because the nerve endings have essentially just been burned off, which means the brain is doing a lot more work, and he has just adrenaline pumping through him, but it's also making him crazy. He's becoming a psychopath, and he realizes that.
The dancing freak! Pay $5! This ain't the dancing freak!
Even when he tries to get his regular life back, when he puts the fake skin on, the first time he puts that fake mask on that actually looks like himself, which is a really funny aspect of this movie, which is just very similar to the Mission Impossible movies. Like, the skin when it's on them looks identical, like a complete replica, but when we see the mask on the ground, it's like a regular shitty plastic mask. It's very similar to something in the Mission Impossible movies where we see him putting it on and it just looks terrible, but then it eventually just looks like real skin. Always love that aspect of of this movie and the Mission Impossible movies. You're supposed to really buy it. And it's a Sam Raimi film, so the special effects, they look cheap on purpose, which I love that. I love that Sam Raimi just sticks to his guns with that, because this actually came out before Army of Darkness, but after Evil Dead 2, so it really does kind of operate in that horror comedy / action genre, so he's really combining a bunch of different stuff in this movie, and he just makes a very, very entertaining film as we watch Darkman go on his revenge path, while also trying to reconnect with the one love of his life, Frances McDermott, which leads to a great scene at a carnival.
Take it! No! Take it! Take the fucking elephant!
And Liam Neeson knows that he is very flawed and this isn't gonna work, but he has to finish out his revenge tale before it's all too late. And originally Sam Raimi wanted Bruce Campbell, who he has a great working relationship, a great long-running friendship with, but unfortunately Universal Studios said no, they didn't see him as a leading man, and that eventually led them to Liam Neeson. This is really before Liam Neeson took off with Schindler's List in 1993. This is more when he's an unknown, and he didn't even think he was gonna get the job, but he eventually did, and he was game for everything. Apparently he was in the makeup chair all day. He had to have the prosthetics on for 18 hours a day at some points, and he loved the challenge. Apparently he never ever complained, which is amazing. And Liam Neeson, in one of the interviews on the 4K Blu-ray disc, even says, if it was me now, I would never do this, but he said, I was a young kid, I wanted to learn, I really liked the challenge of the makeup, and it really works. The makeup effects in this movie are fantastic, even though it does kind of look like some of the Resident Evil zombies from the 90s PlayStation era, but the makeup effects themselves look fantastic. I think they did a great job. Now, there are some flaws in the visuals. visuals, which again, Sam Raimi likes to use cheap visuals, which always works for him, and I always appreciate that. That's why I say Army of Darkness is one of my favorite Sam Raimi films, because I always appreciate the effects he likes to use, but sometimes they will take you out in this film because this movie does have a much higher budget, and it's supposed to look realer at certain points, but sometimes, you know, the green screen is just so obvious, or they used a miniature and like it didn't cut at the right point, and you will notice that. And also, Sam Raimi made a conscious choice because he got a lot of flack for how his female characters were written in his previous films. That's why he hired Frances McDermott. You know, Frances McDermott married to a Coen brother. She actually lived in a house with the Coen brothers and Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi appreciated her work, brought her onto this film, and wanted to make her a stronger female character. Now, I think it is much stronger than a lot of his other films, but I still don't think Frances McDermott really got to show off her skills in this movie. I don't think she had that much to work with. Yes, she gets a lot of screen time, but I still feel like she's a little bit underwritten, especially since Frances McDermott is a 3-time Academy Award winner. Yes, this is early in her career, so maybe she didn't even have the right footing yet, but I just felt like there was more to her character that I would have really liked to see. I did kind of buy into her and Liam Neeson's love story, though, so I guess they did kind of nail that aspect, but I just felt like she was a little bit underwhelming for me. But that doesn't take too much away from this film. I think overall this film is very, very entertaining, tells a very compelling story. It did lead to a bunch of direct-to-video sequels that do not feature Liam Neeson or Sam Raimi directing the film. Some people really like those movies. Me personally, I don't think they even sniff the same air as the original Darkman, which I find to be extremely enjoyable, one that I can run back to all the time, like a lot of early Sam Raimi films. I think it's his best superhero film. I think it's way better than any of the Spider-Man films that he made, and I know that some people are going to be really pissed off that I just said that.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
I am not a big fan of those 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, despite growing up with them. And a lot of that is Tobey Maguire, but it's not the same Sam Raimi. But I really like this Sam Raimi in this era where he's still kind of operating in that horror genre and making a superhero film in it. It still looks down and dirty and gritty, and I absolutely love this film for that. And that's why I would actually probably put Darkman in the top 3 of Sam Raimi's films that he's ever made. He really crafted a great character in this film, and Liam Neeson was game to play it. I mean, this movie has some over-the-top scenes, and I love the movie for it. And just seeing Liam Neeson do these scenes, I mean, we should have known this is the guy who would end up becoming an action star later in his career, that he was down to do everything. I mean, it just really makes you appreciate Liam Neeson even more. But before I ramble on too much, let's talk about this Scream Factory 4K Blu-ray.
From director Sam Raimi. Darkman.
So Darkman Scream Factory 4K Blu-ray will be released on February 20th, 2024. There was a previously released 2014 Blu-ray, so that's 10 years ago, of Darkman from Scream Factory, and a lot of the extras that are on the Blu-ray disc are the same extras from that previously released Blu-ray. So all the extras, you really only get one new extra, which is a brand new audio commentary track with a huge fan of Darkman. It's a Darkman superfan, they label him as. But that's the only new extra. But the new scan in here, the new 4K scan, is going to be on the 4K Blu-ray disc, and it's going to be downgraded to 1080p on the Blu-ray disc. So you get the same scan no matter which way you choose to go. And the packaging on the standard release looks very similar to the old release, but there was also a really, really, really nice steelbook that I was on the fence about buying. At the end of the day, I ended up going for the more colorful slipcover version over the steelbook. I'm sure I'll regret it because it does look beautiful in pictures, and I'll bet you money it looks better in person. But anyway, you slide this off. It's not a reversible cover underneath here, so this is what you get. Same artwork on the slipcover as you do on the 4K Blu-ray. You come inside, it's a 2-disc set. You get your Blu-ray right here. You get your 4K Blu-ray right there. Individual artwork. I will never complain about that. I love that. I thought that Scream Factory did a great job on the packaging. There's a great amount of extras on that Blu-ray disc. None are on your 4K Blu-ray disc. All your extras will be on that second Blu-ray disc. And on that 4K Blu-ray disc, you'll have your choice of 2 audio commentary tracks, or you'll have your choice of a DTS HD 5.1 or a DTS HD 2.0 mono track. Me personally, I tested them both out. The mono track is really good, but the DTS HD 5.1 track was actually pretty impressive. Early in the movie, it's mainly dialogue heavy, but then once those mobsters break in and they attack Liam Neeson and his assistant, and we get to that bay of acid, and we get the sparks flying everywhere, the sound design for that scene is perfect. They did a great job making great use of all your channels, which is one thing that's just so much better than the 2.0 track, mainly because it's just making great use of your surround sound. There's a good amount of bass throughout the entire track. Not the most. I actually thought it was more noticeable early in the film, but then once we build up to that third act and the conclusion, the DTS HD 5.1 was definitely putting in the work. I was very, very, very impressed with it, to the point like I was noticing stuff in it. That means that it's a good DTS HD 5.1 track. When you're watching the film and you just start to notice the audio design, that means it's very well mixed, and I think they did a very good job with that. Which I guess is why they chose not to give us a brand new audio track on here, because the DTS HD 5.1 and the 2.0 are still very, very solid. But I'm very curious what a Dolby Atmos track would have sounded like, and from what I can tell, this is the exact same track from the 2014 Blu-ray, which might disappoint some people, again, because all you're really getting as far as an upgrade is to the visual department and that one audio commentary track. Now, how are the visuals? Well, I can honestly say it is definitely a big step up from any time I have ever seen this film before. Even when you compare the pack-in Blu-ray, which does have the same scan, and you go to 4K Blu-ray, the 4K just really brightens up. The HDR and Dolby Vision are really doing some great work. It's presented in the 1.85 aspect ratio. This is going to fill up your screen beautifully, and it looks almost 10 out of 10 perfect. But unfortunately, there are certain scenes in this movie that do look very muddy. It doesn't handle the darkness as much as I hoped it would. It handles it well, but it doesn't handle it great. And it's only in certain scenes, like the outdoor scenes in the sunlight. All that stuff looks fantastic. I mean, it looks gorgeous. I mean, 10 out of 10 visuals there. But there are just certain moments where it just drops in quality, where it becomes almost like a mixed bag. Not as bad as like Weird Science's 4K from Arrow Video, but there are still certain moments in this 4K where it's going to look a little bit muddy, and then it might look a little bit sloppy, especially when you go from one scene where it might look fantastic and then the next scene just looks a little bit off. But overall, the visuals are still a huge jump in quality, and like I said, there are going to be moments in this 4K Blu-ray where it just looks stunning. It's just really unfortunate that not every moment can look like that, where it's not stable throughout the entire 4K Blu-ray. And a lot of that, and I'm sure of this, is due to the source material, especially since it's Sam Raimi. A lot of this was shot in front of a green screen, and those green screen scenes do not look good on 4K Blu-ray. I imagine they weren't designed for it, just like when we talked about the core on 4K last year. That made those special effects, the CGI effects in that movie, just look really, really bad because it wasn't supposed to be seen in 4K. And I imagine it's the same thing with these green screen effects. Nobody intended for 34 years later for a 4K Blu-ray to come out and just really make this movie look beautiful and gorgeous. You can't really hide bad green screen, so that is going to be very, very, very noticeable to you. But overall, I still think the visuals are great. They're just not the greatest, and they do have some flaws, and that's unfortunate, but I still think overall this is the best that Darkman has ever looked. And if you don't own that previous Scream Factory Blu-ray, you really can't upgrade to this 4K Blu-ray because you get a lot of the bells and whistles. You get beautiful packaging. You get all of those extras, which I absolutely loved. I would have loved a new making of documentary. I understand that we weren't going to get that here. There's only one making of, and it's like 6 minutes long, and it probably came out in 1990. But you get some good interviews with Liam Neeson, the makeup effects designer, Frances McDermott, which I really do appreciate that, because one thing was when they interviewed the makeup designer, he's like, yeah, Liam Neeson was just down to do everything. He didn't complain once. And then Liam Neeson in his interview says, yeah, I was a young man. I really was looking forward to it. I love the challenge. He said if this was today, though, I would absolutely not do it. Just love those interviews where people kind of let their guard down and just talk. And I think the interviews on here were really, really, really well done. They really felt like they were open and honest with everything, and I could really appreciate the extras for that. So the extras on this disc are also fantastic. But again, if you have that previous Scream Factory Blu-ray, you've already seen most of these extras. All you're missing out is on that one new audio commentary track. So it's going to really come down to you. How much of a fan of Darkman are you? It is a pretty big upgrade in the visual department, but the audio is the same. Most of the extras are the same. The packaging is definitely a pretty big upgrade. Now, for me, who didn't have that previously released Blu-ray, I felt like I definitely got my money's worth on this one. And if you're like me and you haven't picked this up on physical media yet, this is definitely the definitive edition of Darkman. You are going to absolutely love it. But if you already have that previously released Blu-ray, I can see you being a little bit disappointed, and you might want to wait until there's a Scream Factory or Shout Factory sale to pick it up on 4K Blu-ray. So overall, I would still give this 4K Blu-ray a really solid 8.5 out of 10. And it's also Monday, guys, and that means it's time for me to kick it over to Future John for this week's digital code giveaway. That is right, Past John. It is Monday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. In every single video that we put out on Friday, we ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you got to do is answer one in the comment section below, and if you did that, you came back to this video every single Monday, we put your name on a magic wheel, we spin that bad boy 2 times, the 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you. today. So I asked you guys, what was your favorite 90s action movie and what was your favorite 90s comedy film? So of course the answers were all over the place. We got a bunch for Terminator 2 and The Matrix, which makes a lot of sense, but there were so many favorites mixed in there as well. And then of course when it comes to comedy, everybody has different taste in comedy, but anyone who picked any Jim Carrey comedy, that was just speaking right to my heart. But of course I love so many comedies from the 1990s. That was probably my favorite era for comedy films. I mean, we had Chris Farley bouncing around with Tommy Boy and Black Sheep. Jim Carrey was at the height of his powers. We still had Eddie Murphy making movies like The Nutty Professor. In the late 90s, we started to see Will Ferrell popping up in things. You know, Martin Lawrence was all over the place in the 1990s. So the 90s just had some great comedies. So any answer was correct, of course, for either action or comedy. I just wanted to see what you guys are interested in as well, and I just really appreciate you guys entering into this week's digital code giveaway. And without further ado, let's spin this magic wheel and see who our two lucky winners are. MD. Move you quick, Mr. MD. Spin again.
Taking the elevator, going up. Got a lot of ground to cover, and I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top, keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up, I'm coming up.
And Rusty. All right, congratulations, MD and Rusty, and I think you guys have both won in the past, so just reach out to me at my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, the artist formerly known as Twitter. DM me there and let me know which of the digital codes you want. And as long as the other winner didn't take that code, that digital code is all yours. And if you did enter this week's giveaway and you don't see your name on the magic wheel, please reach out to me as well, and we'll make sure we fix that. And just a couple little channel updates for you guys. This week we are going to have 3 more videos. Other than this video, we are going to have a review for Peeping Tom on 4K Blu-ray, a review for Footloose on 4K Blu-ray, and there's also going to be a review with me and Carmela from Salem Cellar for the 2019 film Us, which is actually still my favorite Jordan Peele film. And guys, if you want to become a channel member and help support Let's Talk financially, you can do that as well. We have 3 tiers. We have a Friends of the Channel tier. We also have a Producers tier. That's where you guys are going to find John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato. And then we have a Directors tier, which is the top tier, and that's where you're going to find Mr. Frank's Media and Reviews. Frank's Media and Reviews is a great YouTube channel. Frank is a great guy. You should definitely head over there and follow him as well. But if you are a channel member, every single month we do a giveaway for our members, and this month we are going to be giving away the same 3 4Ks that we were giving away last month. We're not giving them all away to the winner. We are just going to be giving the winner, the winner is just going to have their choice of the following 4K Blu-rays. Either The Lost Boys on 4K Blu-ray, Thor Love and Thunder on 4K Steelbook, or Waterworld from Arrow Video on 4K Blu-ray. So you'll have your choice if you're the lucky winner. We're going to spin that magic wheel at the very end of this month. So if you want to join a channel membership, it doesn't matter which tier you join. If you are a member of this channel, you will have your name put on the magic wheel and you will have your chance at winning one of those 4K Blu-rays. And if you got no money to throw our way, we don't mind at all. We just really appreciate you guys checking out this video. We really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, it would really help if you guys just liked this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video if you could, turn notifications on, because all of that really does help to keep this channel growing. Either way, we just appreciate you guys checking out this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, maybe get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then after you're done doing all of that, we'll be seeing you around.